April 1st, 2025. If you will join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. City Clerk, if you can please call the roll.
Bowling.
Here.
Freed.
Here.
Lockhart.
Here.
Newman.
Here.
O'Doherty. Here. Shumway.
Here.
Behill.
Here.
Richardson.
Here.
And Cumbie.
Here.
That's 9 present and 0 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. Next, we'll move to public comment. If there is any public comment on non-agenda items, please come to the podium. Linda Devine, thank you.
Don't worry, you're not in trouble.
Yay.
I don't normally write my things out, but this is kind of a little important to me. So thank you, Madam Mayor. My name's Linda Devine, and I'm a resident here in Laramie, Wyoming. Yesterday was Cesar Chavez Day. Cesar Chavez was a civil rights activist for migrant workers in the 60s. And I bring that up because several things happened yesterday that just kind of concerns me about our vulnerable community. On the same day of Cesar Chavez Day, the university decided to eliminate a 25-year conference for the Latina youth. On that same day, a previous member or community member of Laramie posted about an incident that happened at a local restaurant in town. She's a trans woman, and someone went to the restroom and tore off the sign for gender bathroom and wrote under women, men. And on this same day, the city posted a notice for accepting applications for Freedom Has a Birthday. And all of these things just kind of hit me at once. And this isn't, I'm not criticizing them for posting that, but it's Freedom Has a Birthday is for the 4th of July, which is celebrated because of the independence of this country from supposedly tyrants. But at that same time, we know that not everybody was free, because there were still slaves. And it wasn't until June 19th, 1865, that folks in Texas learned, these enslaved folks, that they were finally free. And so I'm here today just wondering what we can do as a community to show folks that we're not going backwards, that even though the city and the state and other places may be trying to erase history, trying to get rid of any sense of diversity, what can we do as a community? And I did write this out. I had a really tough day, and I knew I was either going to yell or bawl, and I don't want to do either. But I'm just coming and asking y'all to put your minds together, hold on, and see what we can do. Because Martin Luther King Jr. said, are we going to be, where do we go from here, community or chaos? And so I'm going to say what I've always wanted to say. I yield my time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Devine. We appreciate your comments. Any other public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to consideration of changes in agenda and setting of the agenda. First, are there any public requests to move a consent agenda item and place it on the regular agenda? Seeing none, we will move on to the Vice Mayor for motions to change the agenda.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that the following changes to the agenda be approved: to add Resolution 2025-32, authorizing emergency work to avoid delays as item 10A, and an addition of an executive session.
I have a motion by Richardson, second by O'Doherty. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Vice Mayor, motion to set the agenda.
I move that the agenda be set as changed.
Second.
I have a motion by Richardson, second by Newman. City Clerk, if you can call the roll, please.
Bowling.
Aye.
Freed.
Aye.
Lockhart.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Behill.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Cumbie.
Yes,
That's 9 yeses and 0 nos, Your Honor.
that motion passes. Thank you, City Clerk. Next, I have the honor of reading a proclamation for the Laramie International Flavor Festival Week. Whereas one of the best ways to learn more about your neighbors is to start a conversation about food. And whereas Laramie, Wyoming prides itself as a dynamic cultural and economic center, and whereas Laramie Main Street Alliance organizes the Laramie International Flavor Festival, a volunteer-run, week-long event that partners with University of Wyoming Global Engagement Offices, international students, and scholars to encourage a sense of welcoming and belonging to the international community. And whereas the Laramie International Flavor Festival celebrates community building through authentic stories and flavors of our community members' international heritage and experiences, and whereas Laramie residents visit downtown venues to celebrate, recognize, and engage with international neighbors and influences, and whereas this fourth year of the festival, more than 15 downtown restaurants will be offering menu items inspired by stories that were submitted by more than 40 international students and community members representing over 40 nations. And whereas downtown Laramie restaurants' menus are increasingly reflective of the community's international influences, many keep specials on the menu permanently even after the event. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Sharon Cumbie, acting as mayor and president of the governing body of the city of Laramie, Wyoming, do hereby proclaim April 8th through 12th, 2025 as Laramie International Flavor Festival Week. And I encourage residents to recognize the positive impact of this festival in our city, to embrace and celebrate our neighbors' international heritages, and gather for shared conversations, experiences, in meals in our downtown Laramie. Thank you. And if Allie Grossman and Deborah Ross would like to come up and accept this proclamation and say a few words, if you will. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for your work on this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Cumbie and City Council members, for this opportunity to be here tonight. welcome international, UW international students, community members, scholars, downtown restaurant owners, Laramie Main Street, and everybody that makes Laramie International Flavor Festival possible and celebrated in our community. We're very excited to taste the many flavors from around the world right here in our downtown next week.
I think I pointed this out last year, and we're so appreciative to receive this for the second year. I can tell you every year, I know somebody else in the community. I know many more people in the community, and people come together through this festival. On the wall behind you, it says, "Building our community through respect, integrity, teamwork, and stewardship." And we love living in a community that stands up for that. I ask you this week, as you're visiting the restaurants, if there's an empty seat at your table and you see somebody come in alone, to ask them to sit down with you, and let's build this community together. I'd love to invite up our many students and participants, and my own neighbor, who I think is in the 4th year of participating in the festival. And I have gotten to know Ingrid through our conversations about food. So if we can invite them over for the photo?
Yes, please do. And before you do that, I just want to say, I was sitting with you two 4 years ago, more than 4 years ago, when you started dreaming this up. And it has been remarkable to see the development, and that this festival has become a Laramie cultural event, and that it contributes to the cultural sector of our economic development. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. You can bring your people up.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council.
And if you'd like, let's come up and we'll take a picture. And so if you can come in there, we'll fit in behind you. Okay, next, we will go to the city clerk for public hearing. The first public hearing on the 2025 renewal liquor license application. City clerk?
Thank you, Mayor. Notice is hereby given that between the 8th day of January 2025 and the municipal due date of the 14th day of February 2025, the following have filed applications for renewal of liquor licenses in the office of the city clerk of the city of Laramie. for the described places and premises. I could read all of these if the council would like, or as noted in the publication.
Yes, I think we can note that in the publication within the agenda items. Thank you.
There were a couple applications that are listed further in the notice. Notice is hereby given that on the 18th through the 27th of February, the following have filed for application of renewal of liquor licenses in the office of the city clerk. Walmart, Sushi Boat, San Luis, and Veterans of Foreign Wars. Public hearing to hear comments or protests relative to the renewal of these licenses will be held Tuesday, April 1st, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. in council chambers of City Hall, 406 Ivinson Avenue, and via Zoom webinar. Licenses will be considered for renewal at the regular meeting of the City Council on Tuesday, April 1st, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. in council chambers, 406 Ivinson Avenue, and via Zoom webinar. That's it for this one, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, City Clerk. And our second public hearing on original ordinance number 2103, amending Laramie Municipal Code 10.36 regarding limited parking zone restrictions and snow emergency routes. City Clerk?
Notice is hereby given that a public hearing of the Laramie City Council will be held Tuesday, April 1st, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. at 406 Ivinson Avenue, Council Chambers, and via Zoom meeting for the following purpose. Original ordinance number 2103, amending Laramie Municipal Code 10.36 regarding limited parking zone restrictions and snow emergency routes. All information relative to this matter is available for review at the City of Laramie City Clerk's office at 406 Ivinson Avenue, Laramie, Wyoming. Anyone wishing to be heard should be present or may be represented by his or her agent at the meeting or via Zoom.
Thank you, City Clerk. Next, announcements. Thank you. Are there any public comments on those two public hearing announcements? Any on? Seeing none, now we'll move on to announcements. Assistant City Manager Fieser.
Honorable Mayor, I have two announcements for City Council tonight. The first is that we have our first of our public meetings for the First Street visioning process. I encourage everybody to attend from 11 to 1 or 5 to 7 at the Laramie Depot Laramie Historic Railroad Depot. The consultants will be in town. We'll have some exercises people can do. We'll also have access to the surveys so people can take them on site, and be happy to answer any questions you may have related to that.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
Thank you. Can you just mention the date again that that's happening? April 3rd. Thank you.
Honorable Mayor, the second announcement relates to two items that are going on. As you all know, on February 28th, we had a fire in the county where 3 firefighters were injured. There's 2 events, fundraising events happening on April 4th. The first one I'll make notice of is called Support a Local Hero. It's put on by the Laramie County Responders. That's on April 4th from 5:30 to 8 p.m. It's a spaghetti dinner auction and fundraiser. The second one I'll make notice of is it's Tacos and Margs for a benefit. For a cause that benefits the injured Laramie firefighters at the Laramie Elks Club from 4 to 10. They'll be doing silent auction from 4 to 8, food from 5 till it's out, and then the dancing and entertainment from 7 to 10. The entry fee for that is $20 per person, all you can eat tacos. So be happy to answer any questions if you have any related to those.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Fieser. Next, are there any disclosures and/or conflicts of interest by City Council members? Seeing none, I move to the Vice Mayor for approval of consent agenda.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that the consent agenda be approved and that each specific action on the consent agenda be approved as indicated.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Richardson, second by O'Doherty. City Clerk, if you can call the roll, please.
Bowling.
Aye.
Freed.
Aye.
Lockhart.
Aye.
Newman.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Hinkle.
Yes.
Richardson.
Aye.
Cumbie.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses and 0 nos, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That motion passes. Moving on to the regular agenda, item 10A, Vice Mayor Richardson.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve Resolution 2025-32, authorizing emergency work to avoid delays on the 3rd Street project and amending appropriations for the fiscal year 2025-26 biennial budget of the City of Laramie, Wyoming, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign and authorize the city manager to initiate construction.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Richardson, second by O'Doherty. Good evening, Mr. Webb.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. As I'm sure you've all noticed, YDOT's project is progressing rapidly down on 3rd Street. On Friday afternoon, I received notice from YDOT that we have some electrical facilities within their right-of-way that are conflicting with their work. We have a license agreement with YDOT to have that electrical infrastructure there. It's for the downtown street lights and signal lights in the downtown area. That license agreement, as is pretty standard with all license agreements of this type, require that if we are in conflict, we are to remove those or relocate those without delay. These type of agreements are pretty common. We have them with our franchise people. We have them with the University of Wyoming anytime any type of utilities are in the right-of-way. Any type of project like this, you're going to run into utility conflicts. This one is much larger because it's a much larger project. The project encompasses 2 miles, and we're in conflict in 8 different intersections. The conflicts include electrical utility pole boxes and conduit for the ADA ramps and installation of storm drain inlets. I got that notice on Friday. Our folks, engineering and street folks, spent some time with YDOT and their contractor to really figure out what the issue is there. We have some preliminary costs from them. Is what we're doing tonight is asking you through resolution to transfer money from one project to this project, $500,000 to get this work completed. We don't at this time have an exact dollar amount. We're working on that and should have that in the next day or two. And then we'll get that to the city manager to authorize that work to move forward through this resolution. So with that, I'll take any questions if you have them.
Thank you, Director Webb. Questions? Councilor Freed.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Director Webb. My only question would just be, in future projects like this, will the relocation, is it possible to allow it to not potentially interfere if there were projects 10, 20, 30 years down the road of a similar caliber, and hopefully, those don't happen, but is there anything you could speak on to relocating them in future projects?
Yeah, Mayor, through you, we will definitely look at that. That is the objective, right? Currently, if you go and look at some of these intersections, those utility boxes are literally right in the middle of some of the ADA ramps that are there now. Some of them are just offset, but when the new ramp is built, it'll be in the center of it. So we're working with the contractor that's down there now to identify those locations where they'll be out of the way. They'll probably be moved back behind the sidewalk, but still within the right-of-way, in purposely to avoid any further conflicts in the future.
Thank you, Director Webb.
Further questions? Councilor Bowling.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Director Webb. I understand how important it is to keep this project moving. Just a 2-part question. Is there any way to anticipate what this sets YDOT back in overall timeline? And then I'm just curious, because we're transferring funds from another city project, what happens to the street oversizing project from which we are transferring those monies, I'm guessing temporarily at this point. Not temporarily, but we'll need to get back to that at some point. So feels like we'll address that at a later date.
Yeah, sure, Mayor, through you, addressing the first question as far as the delay, I received official notice on Friday, and after talking with the city manager today, we decided to avoid those delays, to walk this item on tonight, which I think was a fantastic idea with the city manager. And so, honestly, I mean, 2 business days is what the delay is in my mind, right? Got notice Friday, here we are Tuesday, we'll talk to the contractor tomorrow and get them moving forward. So I don't see that there was a huge delay. And then to the second question, the street oversizing project, so those funds were put in budget for developers, basically. As developers develop, city code allows them to request some reimbursement when they have to build a road over the local size. Our staff had in the past anticipated those ahead of time, and so those funds have built up in there, but some of those projects never moved forward. So we were actually going to be requesting to remove some of those funds from next year's budget anyway. So this is simply a transfer, so we're not having to hit reserves.
Further question? Vice Mayor Richardson.
Thank you, Director Webb, and you answered some of the questions that I had. I also am just curious is there a way to, I guess, better recognize that this will be an issue up front? I guess why did YDOT not know, or why did we not know that those would be an issue in building these out?
Yeah, Mayor, through you, great question. I've been asking myself the same question. Through the design process, YDOT did the design. We reviewed those plans, as we always do. To be honest, when we look for utility conflicts, we're usually looking for water, sewer, storm. And then also their contractor didn't even identify when they bid the project. So they were definitely lost in the shuffle, and on further projects in the future, we will be looking a lot more carefully. We're getting all of the electrical infrastructure down here that we have in place into our GIS system, which will make it a lot easier for us in the future to also locate.
Super, thank you.
Further questions? Councilor Shumway.
Thank you, Mayor. Director Webb, I guess the obvious question is, we're not going to do the work, we're simply going to pay the bill, because for us to go out right now and find contractors to do this would be next to impossible to stay on their schedule, correct?
Yeah, correct, Mayor. Through you, the contractor's already on site doing electrical work there. That was part of their contract that they bid. And that's the contractor that we've been working on. They're already on site. They're ready to move forward with the work. So going with them will, in my mind, it reduces costs because there's no MOB, there's no having to put all this scope together. They know what needs to be done, and eliminates any delays. We can move forward immediately.
Okay, seeing no further questions, I move to the public. Is there any public comment on this agenda item? Seeing none, back to council for comment. Any comment? Councilor Freed.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to say how much I appreciate the quick response and practical solutions from Director Webb and other city staff that have been working on this, and to have a solution come within 2 business days to not delay any further is pretty awesome. So thank you for all the hard work.
All right. Seeing no further comment, City Clerk, please call the roll.
Bowling.
Aye.
Freed.
Yes.
Lockhart.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Behill.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Cumby.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses and 0 noes, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That motion passes. Next, item 11, Councilor Lockhart.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to accept a grant award from the Wyoming Office of Homeland Security in the amount of $155,830.63 to the City of Laramie, the City of Laramie Police Department RERT number 3 program for the purchase of hazardous device and explosive response equipment, and authorize the police chief and city clerk to sign and approve resolution 2025-31, amending the 2025 fiscal year City of Laramie budget.
Second.
I have a motion from Lockhart, second from Richardson. Welcome, Chief Brown.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Thank you for letting me speak tonight. This is a request that we put in through the Wyoming Department of Homeland Security. We heard coming towards the end of the fiscal year there may be some additional funds available for equipment. And just some backstory on how this program was established. In 2004, the Wyoming Emergency Response Act was signed by the governor, and the purpose of that act was to create a regional emergency response team with the ability to organize, equip, train, and respond to hazardous materials, weapons of mass destruction, any terrorism-related events, and all or any hazardous incidents impacting the community. Regional teams receive federal funding from the Federal Department of Homeland Security, and those are passed through grants through the Wyoming Office of Homeland Security. So we made a request for primarily the major portion of the funds that we requested are for new bomb hazardous material suits. And there's only 8 regional teams in Wyoming that respond to these types of events, and only 7 of those teams have hazardous material or bomb explosive unit. And the City of Laramie is one of those teams. And as part of accepting this grant, we are required to respond anywhere in Carbon County and Albany County if it meets the requirements for that type of response. So it's a regional asset. And as you know, we have we have a huge destination here in Wyoming with the University of Wyoming football games and basketball games. We receive a lot of visitors in this area. Last weekend we had a senator's funeral here in this area that we ran some of our equipment through just to make sure it's safe for the community. And we're requesting newer equipment. I believe our current bomb suits are 15 years old, and the lifespan is about 10 years on those. But because of the lack of usage and callouts, we were able to extend it another 5 years. So we're requesting that we accept this grant and we're able to use it for future calls for service. And I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you, Chief. Questions? Councilor Lockhart.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Chief. Just a quick question involving that team. How many individuals are on a team like that you have qualified?
Sure. So the regional response team includes members of the fire department, members of our SRT, special response team, and then also our explosives unit. Our explosive unit is comprised of 4 officers, a sergeant, 3 officers currently, and each one of those have been nationally trained, and that includes a 6-week class in Huntsville, Alabama, and then they're required to be recertified every 3 years, and I believe that's an 80-hour training class every 3 years.
Further question? Seeing none, I go to the public. Is there any public comment on this agenda item? Seeing none. Council, any final comments? City Clerk, if you can please call the roll.
Bowling.
Aye.
Freed.
Yes.
Lockhart.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Behill.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Cumbie.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses and 0 noes, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That motion passes. Item 12, Councilor Newman.
I move that the Laramie City Council approve Resolution 2025-27, authorizing submission of a grant application in the amount of $10 million by the City of Laramie, Wyoming, to the Wyoming Business Council Business Ready Community Grant and Loan Program, business committed project to assist in financing the site development and building of Saffron Passenger Innovations LLC expansion project, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Newman, second by Richardson. Good evening, Mr. Fieser.
Thank you. The people that will speak tonight will probably speak to both resolutions as we come through, so we don't have to go through this twice. But the City of Laramie is involved in this project as we are the applicant in partnership with our EDO organization, the Laramie Chamber Business Alliance, and the Wyoming Business Council. Tonight with us, we've got Brad Enzi, who has formed this relationship with Safran Passenger Innovations LLC, and he'll come up and tell you a little bit about the project and what we plan to do with Safran. So,
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Enzi. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Todd, how'd you do it this short? It's good. I got it. It's good. It's so fancy. It'll probably work just fine. Excuse me, Mayor Cumber, members of the council. I'm excited to bring this project forward. This is kind of the culmination of really 2 years' work with Safran Power. I say it different every time I say it. Safran Passenger Innovations, which is a division of a global aerospace company, third largest global aerospace company in the world. The real kicker is a UW alum said, I want to try something different in how we develop a workforce in a community. In their other locations in Germany and Brea, California, they're constantly competing for where people get pulled from, Safran to Google to Microsoft to, getting pulled. And he said, what if we tried it in Laramie? Matt put his confidence in us as a community, and it's been very successful so far. Tonight we've got Heather Simons and Johnny Paris, who run the local division, as well as Kaylee Holyfield with the Business Council, who've all been working on putting this together and what it means to our community. Just by way of kind of backing up a little bit, we don't recruit companies that aren't going to move our median income up. That doesn't make sense for our community. If we recruit below what we already do, that's not a good spot. So Safran will bring 250 jobs by 2030. They're already in the 30s right now. So they've already made that commitment and are ahead, and we're kind of trailing their commitment to our community with getting them a new building to continue to grow and expand. Currently, they operate in what used to be UL Building 1, but now we'll call it the Safran Parentship. And are growing fast there and doing great things. We're very excited about this partnership and what it brings, not only from the initial, primary company, but their partner relationships that they have with vendors and other things. And at some point, when we get a little bit further along in this process and we do the site visit, I'd encourage members of the council to come and see really how unique and innovative what Safran does here in town is. They've already invested millions of dollars in equipment that hangs in that building to be able to test these arrays of I call them computers, but the screens that you watch movies on the plane, to make sure that those are safe for us in the air and the best passenger experience you'll have. They even had a video game that you can play on the back of the screen at the job fair that we did last week. So with that, Mayor Cumby, members of the council, I'd stand for any questions.
Thank you. Questions, council? Well, seeing none, we'll go to the public. Wait, okay.
Honorable Mayor, with us
Yes.
tonight, we have Kaylee Holyfield, the
Okay.
Southeast Wyoming Director for the Wyoming Business Council, who will give you a little information behind the Wyoming Business Council.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm gonna have to pull this down, I'm not quite as tall. Mayor and members of the council, I am Kaylee Holyfield. I'm the Southeast Regional Director with the Wyoming Business Council. I know we have some new faces up here, so I just wanted to share a little bit about what we do and what this program looks like and how we use it strategically here at the state. So we are the state's economic development agency. We work to diversify and grow our economy here in the state. We have three tools that we can really leverage to do that. So we have some policy tools we can use. We have a variety of funding tools that we can use, and there's a leadership component to what we do as well. So this is an example of one of those funding tools that we can use to help recruit, retain, and grow businesses here in the state. So just a little bit about the Business Ready Community Program. We do offer both grants and loans, or a combination of both, that are then essentially granted or loaned to the municipality to build a community-owned asset that in some cases a business is a beneficiary of. We work through a variety of different agreements, lease agreements, recapture agreements, to essentially incentivize that company to eventually take over, or in some ways we restructure that a little bit differently, but essentially, it's not the municipality's responsibility to maintain that forever and ever. It's something that is designed to be a source of income for the municipality to invest in other economic development efforts at the end of that agreement, and then the company is then the beneficiary of that asset. So that's a little bit about how the money flows. It is kind of a confusing program, so if anyone wants to sit down over a cup of coffee, we can walk through that in more detail, but I wanted to share a little bit about that. This project is going to create quite a few. I believe the last figure we heard was about 250 full-time, really good paying jobs for the city of Laramie, which is great. As you know, we're a small community, so diversifying the options that folks have here to work here in Laramie is always a great opportunity. So I'm happy to stand for any questions about the work that we do or this program specifically.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Councillor Lockhart.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Ms. Holyfield. I had quite a few conversations about a month ago with some community members about this that were really, we want this to happen. And so I reached back out to them today, and it seems like my question has been answered, but the big questions were LCBA is behind this, Wyoming Business Council is behind this. We got everybody outside of us voting for it that wants this to go down. Am I correct?
When you, Mayor, when you say down, as in
like,
when
make it happen.
Okay.
As in
Yes. I think projects like this that help retain and grow the number of really good paying jobs for folks here in the community and in the state are absolutely things that we're committed to, working with a lot of different partners to make that happen.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
Vice Mayor Richardson.
Thank you. And I am not sure, Ms. Holyfield, if you can answer this or if someone else, but in just thinking about this and looking at the documents that we have online, and that it is a loan, and we look at kind of the revenue sources for this in this chart, and it says other, the $5,100,000 Saffron. So sorry, I need to mentally spell that differently in my head, sorry. / city match. Can we, kind of outline a little bit more for folks what that is when it says those two kind of combination? And then if something were to fall through on this program, go south, what does that look like for us as a city, as this is still a loan?
Honorable Mayor, through you, and I'll keep Kaylee close so that we can make sure we answer this correctly. First off, I'll explain the match parts. Obviously, this first section is a $10 million grant. The next resolution is a $5 million loan. The commitment of $100,000 from the City of Laramie is out of our Economic Development Fund as a commitment towards the project. The $5 million from Saffron is their tenant finishes for the building. That's the partnership that we have there. As we work through this, the loans are guaranteed through the lease revenues, and the intent is if this failed, which we all believe it will not, it is that the building would be released and those lease revenues from the future lessee will be used to secure the city's loan. Plus the city becomes partner to the note from the LCBA that guarantees the payment of the loan. So.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, and sorry for jumping the gun into the next section. Apologize.
That's okay. Can I answer any other questions for you all?
Any other questions? I see none. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Fieser? Then I go to the public. Is there any public comment on this agenda item? Online? No. I return to council for any further comments. City Clerk, if you can please call the vote.
Bowling.
Aye.
Freed.
Yes.
Lockhart.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
Doherty.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Behill.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Cumby.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses and 0 nos, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That motion passes. Next, item 13, Councilor Newman.
Oh, sorry, this is going to be a paragraph again. That's okay. I move that the Laramie City Council approve Resolution 2025-28, authorize the submission of a loan application in the amount of $5 million by the City of Laramie, Wyoming, to the Wyoming Business Council's Business Ready Community Grant and Loan Program Business Committed Project to assist in financing and site development and building for the Saffron Passengers Innovation LLC expansion project, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign.
Second.
Motion by Newman, second by Vigil. Good evening.
Honorable Mayor, this is that sister resolution that concerns itself with the loan. As a note of process, the way this works is the committed business, LCBA, and the city turn in kind of a pro forma for the project, and the business council staff typically comes back and recommends what they believe that is appropriate to apply for through the grant and loan. In this particular one, they felt it was appropriate to apply for a $10 million grant and a $5 million loan. Again, the loan will be secured through a note from LCBA on lease revenues that are recaptured throughout the project. And we'll be happy to answer any more questions if you do.
Are there any further questions? Seeing none, is there any public comment on this agenda item? Seeing none, I return to council. Any comments? Councilor O'Doherty.
I just want to thank you all for bringing this opportunity to Laramie. It sounds great, and we welcome the expanding business. Thank you. And I just want to say thank you so much. This is a very exciting project. I appreciate the commitment and the contribution that Saffron, as well as the Chamber and the Business Council, are making to our community. Thank you very much. City Clerk, if you can call the roll, please.
Bowling.
Yes.
Freed.
Aye.
Lockhart.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Behill.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Cumby.
Aye.
That's 9 yeses and 0 nos, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That motion passes. Next, item 14, Vice Mayor Richardson.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that the Laramie City Council approve the documents A1A, makes me want to sing Detroit Avenue afterwards, sorry. Documents A1A, A133-2019, standard form of agreement between owner and construction manager as constructor, A1A 133-219, Exhibit B, insurance and bonds, and A1A A201-2017, general conditions of the contract for construction between the City of Laramie and Sampson Construction Company, Inc., out of Casper, Wyoming, for the Laramie City Hall campus renovation project, and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Richardson, second by Vigil. Good evening.
Honorable Mayor, it's a pleasure to be here again with you. Those of you that were with us before know that we started this conceptual redesign project with the City Hall campus in mind about how to more efficiently serve the public, provide better customer service, and provide safe, habitable working environments for our staff members. At that time, we hired Winter Griffith Architects to provide some professional architectural services, and that was right at the beginning of the pandemic is when it started. As we all know, construction costs have changed, and when we had originally projected a $1.3 million project has really gone up to about 4.8. Through that work, we got through staff evaluations, needs, centralization of customer service into certain areas so that everybody could be served appropriately with appropriate spaces. as a cost estimating it came in at about 4.8 million, which brought this project to the level of which I believe is best benefited by a construction manager at risk. Not only is a project of extreme value, but it's also coming with some intricacies. We've got phasing to weigh against off-site housing. We need moving services, relocation services, pre-construction design services, which are services where they evaluate the design and try to find cost savings and help us get through to where we get to a guaranteed maximum price, which is brought back before council for approval again through an amendment. City staff went out for an RFQ for this project, request for qualifications for construction manager at risk services. We received 4 applications. Two of them were deemed the top 2. We interviewed and selected Sampson Construction, Inc. to provide the construction manager at risk services for this project. Tonight we have Colin Bailey, project superintendent, project manager with Sampson Construction, Inc. So if you have any questions for Colin as to how the process works, he's here to answer those, but be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Do I have questions? Councilor O'Doherty?
If I recall the way construction manager, the way this system works, does that mean, could the construction manager skimp on things like HVAC systems and all to save money to, yeah, okay.
Honorable Mayor, through you, absolutely not. Those specifications are already called out, and changing of the specifications is not allowed. They have to meet the specifications that are called out for the products that are called out. So that is not an occurrence that should happen through this project.
Thank you. And can I follow up?
Follow up.
And that wasn't meant as a smear to the Sampson. I'm just as a generality. Thank you.
Thank you. Further?
Honorable
Yes.
Mayor, if I could take a chance to expand on that. I've been involved in about 12 construction manager at risk projects, and they really are a fantastic element where you're using not only the ingenuity and design technique of the architect, but the knowledge of the construction managers that have the understanding of, hey, if you change the way you build this wall or attach this piece, it makes it easier to do something else that might save you down the road. And we call that value engineering. At least I have called it value engineering. And oftentimes that is what helps you navigate these projects of unknowns, especially how many people have done a remodel when you unearth something, you're like, what was that, right? So this project really lends itself very well to that, to have that professional expertise when you're doing that, so that we can actually evaluate and make decisions on the fly. And the construction manager at risk has always been wonderful at helping us navigate those interesting pieces. This building's been here since, I think it's 1932 on the outside, and we don't know what's behind all these walls, but that's what they're there for, and they will really help us through that. I've actually had 3 projects now with Sampson Construction, including the fire training drill grounds, finish up at the rec center, and they're a fantastic company to work with.
Councilor Freed.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Assistant City Manager. More of a question about the city's procedures through this than Sampson, but is there like a price point or a scope that usually dictates adding this type of element of a construction manager that you could speak to? Is it like a universal standard, or is it more of assessing it as they come and say this would be really helpful and beneficial to this project if we did this?
So internally for me as I manage, or Honorable Mayor, through you to Councilor Freed, internally through you as I manage projects, I think that there is a price point where construction manager at risk works or does not work. And I think that's in the 1.5 and up project. The next piece that you have to evaluate, is it a rote project, like a really simple project, or is it a difficult project like this one may turn out to be, where you'd rather do a construction manager at risk over a design bid build? You know, oftentimes in design bid build on a remodel, when you open it up and you find something that's out of place, you're at the mercy of whatever you design bid build and what was on the specs. Whereas under the construction manager at risk, it's an iterative process where you work together to find out the best ways to solve it at the best cost to the owner. And so what it does, if I explain a little bit further, this is all philosophical around project management that I've been involved in, is often in design bid build, it's owner versus contractor, or owner and architect versus contractor. In construction manager at risk, it's a triangle of a team working together for the same purpose, and we've had much more success with that. Would you agree with that, Colin? Okay.
Thank you so much.
Any further questions? Seeing none, is there any public comment on this agenda item? None online? Back to council. Any final comments? Yes, Councilor Lockhart.
Thank you, Mayor. I was able to spend some time perusing the 39 pages about Sampson Construction, because I figure with 4.5 million or whatever, we should probably do that, right? And pretty impressive, the projects, especially some local ones that they've been involved in. And then to find out the project manager and superintendent both live here, they have something vested in the community, so I appreciate that too. And actually find out that the superintendent's wife, we know, because my wife used to be on the board of the open school, so I know Lizzie. So anyway, but I told her that today. So I'm pretty excited to have some local people involved in it too.
Honorable Mayor, through you, if you do the 6 degrees of separation, the project manager is also married to one of our impressive LPD officers.
Oh, yeah. Yes, indeed. There we go. Yes, indeed. Saw that.
Vice Mayor Richardson.
Thank you. I would echo what Councilor Lockhart mentioned. It's nice to be able to go local when we can. And I just appreciate moving forward with something of this scale and this age. We are like barely thinking about remodeling our kitchen in a 1918 home, and already we're like, what is this fireplace doing here and how is it connected? It doesn't matter. Anyway, just understanding that complexity and recognizing that the scale of a project this big, I think this is a smart choice.
Councilor O'Doherty.
This is back as a question. Is that okay?
Yes, you may ask a question.
Could we find something that's just so awful that we have to scrap and start with a new building or something like? Is it possible, if that comes up, we're not forced to keep going on building something bad, putting good on top of bad is what I'm trying to say. Thank you.
Honorable Mayor, through you to Councilor Doherty, all contracts have an escape clause at some point. So yeah, we do have the opportunity to get out of that, but don't tempt me about getting a new building. So you'll find something funny downstairs that might stop everything. We'll get moved out of here pretty quick. No, I'm just kidding. But they all have the ability to get out of contracts. Quite frankly, Sampson Construction, Inc. was the one we had selected to do the Plenty project. And we had the ability to get out of that contract at that point, too.
Thank you. Councilor Freed.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just want to say once again, just really appreciate the transparency and approach from city staff. And I think it's a great idea, and it sounds like an amazing project, and really excited for it to get started. Thanks.
Seeing no further questions or comments, City Clerk, if you can call the roll, please.
Bowling.
Aye.
Freed.
Yes.
Lockhart.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Behill.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Cumby.
Yes.
That's 9
Yes.
yeses and 0 noes, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That motion passes. Next, item 15, Councilor Vigil.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve Resolution 2025-29, amending City Council Rules of Procedure, creating rules for fifth Tuesday open house meetings as reflected in Attachment A, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign.
Do I have a second? Motion by Vigil, second by Bowling. City Clerk?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Before you tonight is a resolution to set your fifth Tuesday format. This came after a work session that we held in March. So the information that was talked about during that work session was transferred over into this addition into the rules of procedure. If something was left untalked about, then we followed the previous procedure that had been used under prior councils and stuff. So one thing of note would be the broadcasting of meetings. That was not included in this resolution due to that is not how they operated previously. If that is the will of the council, you could amend this resolution to add that in. With that, Mayor, we're happy to take any questions. The city manager is online as well if you have any questions for her.
Thank you, City Clerk. And do we?
I have a motion to.
Okay, should we start with Councilor Newman? You have a motion for an amendment?
No, I don't want to
No.
do it on the spot, so mine's going to be postponement for 2 weeks. So my motion would be to postpone, I gotta scroll back up, sorry, Resolution 2025-29 until April 15th.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion from Councilor Newman, a second from O'Doherty. So, City Clerk? Yes, Councilor Newman?
If the mayor would let me, I would like to explain why.
Continue.
Because I didn't ask anybody before the council. I just think there's, instead of making one big motion to change some of this stuff, I would like some time to work with city attorney, city manager, city clerk to do that. One of them is the broadcasting. I think we should broadcast them because during COVID they were broadcasted, or like when they came back they were broadcasted, if I remember right, because they were over Zoom. Because my counselors showed up over Zoom. But I have a problem with some of the language as well. See the second one. It says each quarter's meeting will be held. 2027 doesn't have 4 quarters of fifth Tuesdays. So I think the language just needs to be tweaked a little bit.
So if we're going to postpone, then I think we should suspend discussion right now. And thank you for your comments, but we can go ahead and vote on that. City Clerk, if you can call the roll, please. Oh, I'm sorry. Is there any public comment on this motion to postpone? Seeing none. City Clerk, if you can call the roll, please.
Bowling.
Yes.
Freed.
Yes.
Lockhart.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Vigil.
Yes.
Richardson.
No.
Cumby.
Yes.
That's 8 yeses and 1 no, Your Honor.
The motion passes. Thank you. Next item, 16, Councilor Bowling.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve original ordinance number 2103 on second reading, amending Laramie Municipal Code 10-36 regarding limited parking zone restrictions and snow emergency routes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Bowling, second by O'Doherty. Welcome, Director Webb.
Hi, Mayor. I'm not going to get too in-depth since we kind of did that last meeting for first reading. So second reading, I'll just hit this high level, and then if there's questions, I'm happy to take them. So the big change that we're looking at for the limited parking zone restrictions is changing those from Monday and Tuesday to Tuesday and Wednesday in the limited parking restriction areas. And then there's some language change in there to just really to make it more, the notifications to more media so that we have better notification to the public. In the snow emergency routes, same thing there, a broader local media outreach, and then taking the authority of the operational plan and moving that over to the city manager's authority. And those are the big changes. There was some grammatical changes in there that you've seen. I think we caught the CM this time that Mr. Lockhart brought up last time. I think we got it. So if there's any other questions, I'm happy to take them.
Council, questions? Seeing none, are there any public comment on this agenda item? None online. Thank you. Back to council. Any comments, final comments? Seeing none, City Clerk, please call the roll.
Bowling.
Yes.
Freed.
Aye.
Lockhart.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Behill.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Cumby.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses and 0 nos, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That motion passes. Item 17, Councilor O'Doherty.
I move to approve original ordinance number 2104, amending Title 2.32 of Laramie Municipal Code related to the Environmental Advisory Committee on first reading and introduction.
Welcome, Welcome, Mr. Levin.
Second.
Oh, wait a minute, I need a second.
Second.
Okay, motion by O'Doherty, second by Richardson. Welcome, Mr. Levin. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Council. I'm here tonight to address a ordinance amendment for the Environmental Advisory Committee. At some point last year, the EAC had realized that they did not have written bylaws for the committee, and as a administrative and policy goal of the city, the EAC decided to write new bylaws for that. So in order to do that, the ordinance has to match the written bylaws. So this is why we're here with the ordinance update. The EAC met on October 3rd and December 5th, 2024 to discuss the bylaws and updates to the Laramie Municipal Code. On February 6th, on February 6, 2025, the EAC approved the first set of bylaws created for the committee. The following changes are being recommended to the Laramie Municipal Code, Chapter 2.32, to prevent any conflicts between code and the bylaws. A brief summary of the proposed updates include grammatical errors, although not all individually noted below, updating the mission statement, clarification on the timing and term of the chairman and vice chairman, clarification on how issues and areas of interest are brought forth to the Environmental Advisory Committee, how those topics are assessed and examined, and how recommendations are provided to the City Council and the Board of County Commissioners. So with that, I will stand for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Levin. Any questions, council? Seeing none, is there any public comment on this agenda item? None online. Back to council for comments.
I have a comment.
Councilor O'Doherty.
I just want to point out that the Environmental Advisory Committee are a lot of professional people that spend a lot of time, very thoughtful, and went through this with a fine-tooth comb, and I appreciate their work. Thank you.
Thank you. With no further comments, City Clerk, please call the roll.
Bowling.
Yes.
Freed.
Yes.
Lockhart.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Behill.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Cumby.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses and 0 nos, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That motion passes. Item 18, Councilor O'Doherty.
I move to approve resolution number 2025-30, amending Title II of Laramie Municipal Code, creating bylaws for the Environmental Advisory Committee, and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign.
Second.
Motion by O'Doherty, second by Behill. Mr. Levin.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Council. As I previously just mentioned, this is the resolution actually creating the bylaws for the EAC.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes, Councilor Newman.
There's a recommended motion to postpone. Do you still need that? Am I looking at the right thing?
Yes, sorry, I didn't mention that. So we are recommending, staff are recommending postponement until May 6th to coincide with the third reading of the ordinance changes to prevent the conflicts between the code and bylaws.
Councilor,
Then I move to postpone Resolution 2025-30 to the regular meeting on May 6, 2025.
Second.
Motion by Doherty, second by Newman.
Just make sure it doesn't go.
City Clerk, call the roll.
Mayor, would you like to take public comment?
Public comment. Is there any public comment on this postponement? Okay. City Clerk, if you can call the roll, please.
Bowling,
Yes.
Freed,
Aye.
Lockhart.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Dunaway.
Yes.
Behill.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Cumby.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses and 0 nos, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That motion passes to postpone. Next, public comment on non-agenda items. Seeing none, we can move on to consideration of future work session topics. Councilor Bowling.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to request, and this does not have to be anytime soon, this can be when we get to this time next year, or say a month ahead of time, a work session about the community partner fund allocations and what that adjudication process looks like. I think it would be really helpful to.
We can't discuss why.
We can't discuss.
Great.
Discuss it.
Yeah, that's
So-
it.
So you've listed the topic
Yes.
to, I have a second,
Yes.
and I have a second from Councilor Newman. So that topic will be added. Any further topics? Yes, Councilor Lockhart.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like a work session to discuss some commercial, the policies and place ordinances for commercial properties that seem to be a nuisance, since we already have one for private properties, personal homes. I'd like to discuss how we can clean up some of these other areas that are an eyesore.
Is there,
Second that one.
okay, so session suggested by Lockhart and seconded by Newman. And Vice Mayor Richardson.
Thank you. I would propose a work session on parimutuel betting, so the off-track horse racing. And I don't know if I can request that it be moved up due to the speed at which they are unfolding at the state level.
Second.
I have a motion. Yes.
Mayor, could I just get a little clarification on what part of the parimutuel betting you would like the work session about?
Sure. Understanding of what at the state that looks like in terms of how many okay, sorry, let me rephrase this, get my thoughts together. How many a municipality can have, what our rights are as a city in terms of zoning and liquor licenses, and I think that's about it.
Thank you.
So that topic has been suggested by Richardson and second by Bowling.
Mayor, in response to the request to move that up, staff, the city clerk and the city manager will work on what they can do to best schedule that.
Thank you, Mr. Fieser. All right. Councilor O'Doherty.
I move we adjourn to executive session regarding litigation, Wyoming Statute 16-4-405, lowercase a, Romanet 3.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by O'Doherty, second by Vigil. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? This meeting